If you're looking for some understanding into the inside chess game that is the Irish music session, I'm going to do my best to give you some pointers here today. So maybe you've just walked into a bar in Ireland, you're on your holidays, or you've taken up a tin whistle and you want to see about joining up with some other musicians and playing together. Or maybe you just want to be a bit more of a sympathetic onlooker. This video is for you here. My name's Jason Rouse, and you're all very welcome to the channel. I usually talk about sort of Irish traditional music stuff, uilleann pipes and tin whistles. Those are my instruments. But this one's a nice video. It's open to anyone, whether you play an instrument or you're a singer, or maybe you're just curious as to what happens. You know, what are the unwritten rules of the Irish session. Probably comes across as a lot older than it actually is, with all these sort of rules and nods and everything. But I suppose the history of Irish sessions is they are kind of a modern invention, really. In the old days, they would have had more sort of solo musicians rather than people coming up and playing together in groups. And it was only really around, I don't know, I suppose the 20s, 30s that it became more of a big thing. If anyone's seen the Guinness Netflix series, there's a scene where one of my friends is playing fiddle in a session in a pub. It's not exactly historically accurate. Playing in pubs is kind of a modern invention, if you will. But the history of it doesn't matter too much, and being sort of Irish traditional music, it's ever evolving. So what exactly is a session then, if it's not just a group of people playing together? Well, there's different types of sessions, and there's different rules that sort of go with those sessions, but generally speaking, it's not a jam. It's not like an open jazz thing where people just make it up or whatever they want, how they go along. It's more like a communal space where people who are interested in Irish traditional music can sort of come in together and play from a sort of like a shared repertoire. There's usually no set lists. It's always a bit more spontaneous than that. Someone will pick a tune, somebody will play a different one, that sort of thing. And my biggest tip for sessions is have a listen first. Even if you're like the best musician in the world and everybody will be really happy for you to join in their session, go first, have a listen, see how you get on with it. See what the lay of the land is. Yeah, if I'm going somewhere new for a session, even if I've got my instrument with me, I'll often just like hang back for a bit first and just sort of judge the vibe. Don't step on anyone's toes. Just have a little bit of a listen in, hear what sort of tunes that they're playing. Keep an ear out for things like the tempo, who's sort of picking up the tunes, what sort of things are they playing, how can you benefit the session, how can you help everyone else in the session. Different sessions have different, I guess, like musical accents, and it's something to consider whenever you're moving, if you move somewhere new or you wanted to join in on a session with someone else. Some of them can be very fast, frantic, leaping from tune to tune to tune. Some of them are a bit more gentle paced, a bit more talking, a bit more banter in between the tunes. And even if I am sat in a session and there's a lot going on, or there's a couple of good musicians in there, I'll often just sit back and listen and enjoy the session as well. You know, sometimes you get kind of wound up, like, oh my god, I know this tune, and you're trying very, very hard to sort of play along with it. It can be quite a rewarding experience to sit and actually just like listen to what other people are playing. Maybe they have a very interesting turn around one of the parts of the tune, or there's a really fun ornament that somebody brings in that you wouldn't have noticed if had you been playing away, concentrating very hard to try and help out yourself. Yeah, what's that sort of jazz saying? It's the notes that you don't play are the important ones. Great. It's probably worth pointing out that the roles of the musicians in the sessions tend to fall into one of two categories. You either have the melody instruments or you have the accompaniment instruments. So melody instruments, we're talking like fiddle, box, flute, pipes, whatever. And then the accompaniment instruments, you're looking at like, you know, typically like your guitar, your bodhrán, spoons, clackers, that sort of thing. Stuff that sort of embellishes the tune as you go. Adds a bit of a carpet underneath the main melody, but never overpowering it. And this is a key takeaway. If you are hyped to go and join a session, but you don't know the tunes, and you think maybe you know what this session needs, it needs a cajon, it probably doesn't. And that's the thing as well. If you have a melody instrument, people will be glad to see you. You'll be holding up the tunes and pushing and driving the session and helping out maintain that sort of shared melody between the other musicians. And if you are an accompanist, you'll want to make sure that you know what's going on and that you are good. There's nothing worse than somebody with one of the accompaniment instruments who doesn't know what they're doing. And it can really bulldoze a session and you won't get asked to come back, or you might even be told to leave. And nobody wants that. The rule of thumb is you can have as many melody instruments as you want. There's never too many pipes. But you can have too many accompaniment instruments. Okay? So melody instruments, we can have 10, 20, whatever. Accompaniment instruments, you typically have one of each kind of instrument. Alright? So if there's already a guitarist there, you probably don't want to be the second guitarist. If there's already a bouzouki, you probably don't want to be the second bouzouki. Or if there's already a bodhrán or somebody playing the spoons or whatever, you don't want to be another one. And if you do rock up to a session with your guitar and there's already somebody there playing guitar, you can take turns. You know, they might sit out some tunes, you might play the next one, they might do one, that sort of thing. You don't really want to be stepping on someone else's toes and kind of drowning out the melody instruments. At the end of the day, the melody instruments are where the crack's at and they are carrying the session. And in terms of sessions, like the layout of them, the way they go, typically you have like maybe one person or a small group of people who are leading the session. They'll be like starting tunes and asking other people to take part as well and start a tune or whatever. This is often the case, and maybe it makes me think about the difference between like paid sessions and sort of regular meeting up sessions. You'll find the paid sessions are a bit more common in places like if you pop into a session in Dublin, you might be met with some people who are paid to be there, and then you have some people who are just joining in because they want to be part of it as well. And the people who are there who are paid to be there, they're your dedicated session leaders. I have a slightly different approach to sessions from most people. I actually quite like to sort of sit back and pick my tunes that I want to play. I play the pipes, and they are, well, they can be a loud instrument. They can be they're a very unique sound, shall we say. And yeah, if I were to sort of jump in on every single opportunity, it can have an impact on everyone else's mental health in the session. If you know the tune well, tear into it. If you don't know it massively well and you start playing it, nobody's going to criticize you if you politely bow out, you know. So you started playing, hang on a minute, this is a different B part, or I can't remember how the fourth part of this jig goes. You can stop playing. The music will carry on without you, and they might be happier doing that than having you try and, you know, bulldoze your way through a tune incorrectly. And maybe that leads me on to another thing as well. You have to be considerate about your volume. Now, with the pipes, we can do things like we can have more of a staccato approach to bring the volume down to accentuate the sort of rhythms, that sort of thing. With fiddle, you can do it with bowing. And maybe the most important instrument to be aware of with this is the bodhrán. If you are a bodhrán player, I don't have anything against you, but if you are new to a session and you're new to the bodhrán as well, perhaps, just be sympathetic. Ask before you join, maybe. Just say, is it okay if I come in here on the bodhrán? Maybe if you're not too confident in your own abilities, do more practicing at home. Listen to some great bodhrán players and see if you can mimic a particular style. Be aware of your own volume. Don't drown out anyone. You don't want to be sat next to somebody and then they can't hear themselves playing because you're playing a bit too loud, and that goes for any instrument really. Be careful, be considerate. Be a nice bodhrán player. And what if you're more of a singer than a melody musician? Well, you might want to wait for the right time in the session to bang out a song. You know, maybe wait for like a lull in the tunes. As a melody musician myself, I'm always looking for the next tune. But if there's a bit of a lull, bit of a break, maybe we've just had a big round of, I don't know, the Lark in the Morning or something like that, and there's an opportunity for a bit of a song break, it's often very welcomed, and And yeah, you should just ask around. Is like, okay, if I do a song here, don't just like start singing and tearing into it. Just be like, is it okay if I do a song? People will be more than happy to hear it, usually. And they might even help in shushing everyone around the bar for a bit of quiet so we can hear your singing, hear what your song is. And if you don't like the songs, like whenever I was a kid, I used to hate it whenever there was a song playing and the fellow who taught me would lean over and say, you should be using this time to think about the next set of tunes that you're going to play. So you can do that as well. So how are the tunes set up in a session? Well, I'll just do one example. We'll say the very, very first tunes of the night. It's usually ones that everyone knows, like the old favourites. Maybe it's a set of jigs or a set of reels. These are your two most sort of common time signatures that you get, so your 6/8 and your 4/4s. And basically what will happen is somebody will start a tune, say this tune's in the key of G, and then they'll follow it up with another tune. Maybe they'll play the tune through 2 times or 3 times. 3 times is the standard. And then the second tune will be in a different key generally. So the first tune's in the key of G, the second one might be in the key of A or the key of D or something like that. And then if you're lucky, you might get a third tune popping up at the end. It could go back into G, or maybe this one is in a different key altogether, maybe an E minor or something like that. So yeah, typically with sets, they're tunes of the same time signature, played 2-3 times each, usually. And also they will be different keys. So the main key of the first one will be different from the second one, different from the third one. So you have like a nice sort of flow in between tune to tune. And that makes things easier for everyone. It's typically the way that it's done. And some people will make up the sets as they go, so they'll be playing away, oh, this is a great tune, and then when they get to the end of that tune, they'll be like, oh, I better switch to something else, and they'll just flip it on the fly, and something else will happen. Or, if you're new to sessions, it might be worth having a couple of your favourite tunes, sort of, that you can play together before going in, so yeah, you can always rehearse that, practice that as well. In terms of learning tunes, like if you are learning an instrument to play in a session, you might want to start going onto something like thesession.org, good website, good resource, and picking like the top 20, top 30 most popular tunes on there. That works for some people, and it's maybe a good way to get into a sort of standard session repertoire. Your best bet really is to do what I said at the start, which is to go in and listen and get a vibe for what the tunes that people are playing. Maybe make a record in there, or write down the names of the tunes, ask around what was that one, what was the last one that you played, get the names if they've got them, or use something like Tune Pal, which is a great resource as well, where you can play the tune into it and it'll tell you what the name of it is. Another method, just listen to recordings, pick 1 or 2 really good recordings that you like and just learn the tunes from those. This is maybe a nice way to do it because you're listening to the recordings more, so you have the tune more readily, like a version of the tune in your ear that you want to play, and maybe it gives you a better incentive to learn the tune. And the thing is as well, even if it's not like a massively common like session standard, you'll probably find that the people who are there, like the old heads who know all the tunes, they'll probably know it as well. And if you are starting a set of tunes, just try and be aware of the pace of the session. Like if everyone in the session is playing really, really slowly, you don't want to tear into a set of reels really, really fast, because nobody will be having any fun, and you might get a couple of head shakes or a couple of tuts or something, and then maybe at the end somebody might make a joke about, whew, that was fast, that one, isn't it? Adjust your playing style to match the other musicians in there, and that's where we make brilliant music. When everyone's sort of on the same page. If you are looking for common session tunes, it's good to know like the Bodhrán sets or the Dannon sets or the Planksty ones, the sort of Michael Coleman, whatever, like the sort of the normal sort of pairings that we have for the tunes. And one of the nice things about sessions as well is in between the tunes, there can be great crack to be had as well. A nice conversation with somebody, or say hello if you haven't seen somebody in a while, or if someone's new to the session, make them feel invited, ask about their instrument, ask about who they like to listen to. If you're starting a set of tunes, it's always good to have in the back of your mind the name of the tune, because more often than not, somebody at the end of the set will be like, what was that second one you played there? So it certainly helps to be at least friendly at a session. Yeah, just be a nice human being. It goes a long way. And while we're talking about like in between tunes, can we bring back sandwiches to sessions as well, please? I do miss going to a session and there's sandwiches for everyone, and that's one of the things that I've noticed is kind of died out recently. Yeah, I mean, it's good to get like, you know, a pint or two, but sandwiches, the extra mile, that's the gold standard of a good session. And as you're moving from one tune to the next, there might be some little clues as well. You know, somebody might just go like, if somebody's playing away, they might just do like, oh, quick eyes up or whatever. Next tune coming. Something that I've seen happening more recently, and I love it, is when people put their leg up whenever you're, or your foot out whenever you're coming up to the end of the tune. And if there is like a common tune that it normally follows from the tune that they're playing at the minute, just keep your ear open, and normally within like a note, 2, 3 notes, you can, okay, this is the tune that we're all going into afterwards. There are little visual cues, little audible cues as well. Some people will play the very last time around on the B part, maybe a little bit different. They'll go up to the very, very top note and then come back down again, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, cool, we're going to finish this one off. Or somebody might just go like, up, which is maybe as much as I can talk whenever I'm playing the pipes. And some people might just shout tunes at you, but any kind of like little indication like that is good in my books. So sessions are mostly jigs and reels. These are like the two most common time signatures that you get. But if you're doing like a set of jigs, normally you'll play something in a different time signature afterwards. So normally we'll do jigs, then we'll do reels, then we can do jigs, then we can do reels. Or rather than doing like reels, 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 jigs, 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 that sort of thing. And there's other ones as well you can throw in, like there's slip jigs and slides and polkas, hornpipes, whatever you want, and marches. I've been to a couple of marching sessions. They are good fun. So it's a good idea just to mix it up. So if you have like a set of jigs that you always play and somebody asks you for a tune, it's your turn in the round for a tune, but somebody played jigs before, have something else in your back pocket that you can whip out. You know, maybe it's your favourite hornpipe or whatever like that instead. More rare things that you get in sessions, maybe like the caroling pieces are always good fun to do, or like a little waltz, everyone can sort of sit back, that sort of thing. Yeah, it was a good fun as well. Maybe, I don't know if it's more of a piper thing, but you do occasionally get asked to play an air, and this is like the piper's version of being asked to do a song, I suppose. We get hush, 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 hush. You do your solo bit. I try and keep them short. That's my only advice. So there we go. If you're new to a session or you're dropping in or whatever, be respectful of the environment, of the musicians. Listen, most importantly. You know, keep your ear open and see what people are doing. Be nice, be friendly, introduce yourself, find out what tunes that people like to play. And remember, there is a pecking order as well in the sessions. Melody instruments at the top, as many as you want, and then maybe one or maybe even less of each of the accompanying instruments, and be a sympathetic backer. You know, you don't have to back every single tune. And remember that the best session musicians don't try and stand out. They don't try and take over the session. They just try and help elevate the music for everyone else to enjoy. And when sessions are over, they typically finish up with the Bucks of Bodhrán. And it's not the same in every session around the world, but it does tend to be the standard tune to finish up on. And yeah, it's not an easy tune, so if you're new to a session, this might be one to set out, or maybe it's a good hill to climb when you get to it. But typically, yeah, the Bucks of Bodhrán, a great tune to finish up on, and I leave you with that today. So, I just want to say thanks for watching, and everyone who's contributed to the channel. Massive influx of new people recently, so I'm very, very appreciative of that. Thank you all so much for the likes and the subscribes and the comments, and yeah, if you are a musician or an interested onlooker and you find this useful or interesting in any sort of way, yeah, leave me a message. Have I missed anything out? I'm sure I have. Let me know in the comments, as usual. Anyway, here we go. Bit of the Bucks of Bodhrán to finish up the video. See you all soon. Cheerio.
thus commences the traditional feeding of the pipers.